Hi, I'm Kaylin, and welcome to the April 24th edition of BCA Today, where we report on school, local, national, and international news. Without further ado, let's get started. Starting off, last Friday, April 17th, LitMag hosted its annual music and poetry night, where students performed and showcased their creativity and talents. At the annual Coachella Festival, many artists made surprise appearances, including Zara Larsson, Olivia Rodrigo, Madonna, Justin Bieber, and even Terry Crews. Justin Bieber's appearance especially drew major attention from fans, with social media quickly nicknaming the moment Biebercella. He joined several performers on stage for surprise collaborations, which made his set one of the most talked about highlights of the weekend. Fans were especially excited because it wasn't officially announced ahead of time, adding to the surprise factor. In business news, Spectrum Designs is opening a new location in Hackensack, New Jersey. The company is a nonprofit apparel business that trains and employs adults on the autism spectrum. More than 70% of its workforce is neurodivergent, making inclusion a core part of its mission. The expansion will create more job opportunities while also growing awareness of the inclusive employment. And now to Sam for an interview with junior in the Visual Academy, Luna Cannone.
Recently, this year's results of the 2026 C-SPAN Studentcam competition were announced. Students were tasked with creating a documentary in relation to this year's theme, America's 250th anniversary. In the Academy for Visual Arts, the entire sophomore class and several junior students produced videos over the course of this 5-month-long process. Over 1,800 videos spanning 38 states and Washington, D.C. were submitted. BCA was fortunate to have 4 of our videos singled out for honorable mention recognition. One of the students who was awarded an honorable mention for her documentary, Luna Cannone, is here to speak with us today about her documentary, Redefining the American Dream. Hi Luna, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get into the interview, we do have a video excerpt from your documentary, so let's go take a look.
Immigration. It dominates headlines and political debates today. But America's immigration story is far more complex and more hopeful than it often seems. From the Declaration of Independence came a defining promise: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Over time, that promise evolved into what many immigrants seek: the American dream, an ideal capturing the belief of what the United States is meant to stand for. But does it really?
We have 61,000 people detained by ICE as of mid-2025. 70% of them had no criminal convictions. ICE has mistakenly detained U.S. citizens.
Because of what's happening nationally with ICE, the threat that you're going to get deported, even though you may be a green card holder or even a citizen.
8,200 people are arrested by ICE daily. That's 3 times the average that the Biden administration made in a year. It's shocking that in such little time the Trump administration has made it their priority to deport immigrants from our country. But perhaps it's better to understand the argument behind it.
New York City has spent $1.4 billion and is estimated that the taxpayers will be forced to pay $12 billion, which means if we do not stop the unsafe flow of individuals coming through our southern border.
In 2023, total taxes paid by all first and second generation immigrants reached nearly $652 billion. So the economic argument is not there for why we hold immigrants at a different place in our country.
Doesn't matter what kind of job you have, whether you're a janitor, whether you're a sanitation worker, doesn't matter. You're not beneath the law in this country. Even if you're an asylee coming here from another country, you're not beneath the law.
Thank you so much for joining us once again, Luna. First of all, how did you learn about the C-SPAN Studentcam competition?
So I learned about C-SPAN actually from a course that I took with Mr. Lang called Design Production 1 because it's a semester class. And basically, we had the whole semester just working on C-SPAN. So it's a very long project. It requires so much work. You have to interview people, you have to do a lot of research, and you have to do a lot of pre-production and post-production work. So that's kind of how I got involved.
And your video deals with the topic of immigration. What made you choose this subject for your documentary?
I just feel like there's so much violence and conflict in the world right now, not just in our country, but just in general. And I just felt like in a lot of social environments, we don't really talk about it. And I think we need to talk about it because it's so important to current events today. And it's something that needs to be talked about, even if it's controversial. So that's why I decided to talk about it.
And how long did it take for you to put together this project? And can you tell us a bit about the steps involved in a project that takes so long to produce like this?
Yeah, so in like documentary filmmaking, there's three, or just in filmmaking in general, there's three main steps. There's pre-production, production, and post-production. So pre-production is all about doing a lot of research. So you have to know the topic that you're talking about because that'll allow you to develop a way you can create a message for the video, you know, like, because you have to be very specific about what you want to say and create a script. So that's the first thing. Then you have to start interviewing people. So you have to start researching people and then cold email them and hopefully they respond. For me, my second year doing it was very hard because I was trying to find interviews and no one like was responding to me. So it's a very long process, the pre-production part, and it's arguably the most important because that's the foundation of your video. Then there's production, which is more about stand-ups, like when you're recording yourself as shown in the video there. And then also just like finding C-SPAN clips to incorporate in the video because it's a C-SPAN competition. And then post-production is all the fun stuff because that's what I like to do. So it's all like using Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, etc. And just like adding all kinds of special effects, music, sound, audio, and just graphics and titles that make it more visually appealing for the audience. So overall, the process takes around 5 to 6 months, so it's a lot of work.
What are some of the skills that are required to make a video like this?
Yeah, so definitely cold emailing is really important. It's really scary at first because when I first started sophomore year, it was definitely scary because it's like you're trying to interview or like cold email people that you've never heard of before, but they're like strangers, and it's scary to meet them on Zoom as well. But so that's one of the skills that you learn, but once you get used to it, it's very helpful, especially not even just for C-SPAN, but just any kind of project you want to do. Also just like Premiere Pro, like using the softwares is very important, video production. The whole post-production part is really important, so understanding how Premiere Pro works is also really important because it's also a big part of the foundation or the structure of your video. So.
Now, this was your second year competing in this competition. What made you want to participate in it again?
So usually sophomore year when I did the competition originally, it was very, like a lot of like upperclassmen told me that it was like super scary and that it was not scary, but just it required a lot of work. So I got scared because like I didn't want to do something that would take so much of my time, right? Because I had homework and other stuff to do. But I ended up really liking it. I liked that I could speak up about a topic and visualize it, like demonstrate it visually to audience is what I want to say. Because to me, visuals is like really important, and that's kind of what sparked a lot of my filmmaking like passion. I've always loved like watching movies and stuff, but I've never like seen how powerful it could be. So I think that's why I decided to do the competition again, because that way I could challenge myself and make an even better documentary.
And what is the primary message that you want those who are watching your documentary to take away?
Just that love, honestly, it's really cringy, but love honestly conquers all. We need to respect each other. We need to stop spreading hate and conflict and violence. It's so important to like just love and respect one another, because it's no matter what the conflict is, like violence is really not the answer, and it won't get anything productive done, and it won't really create any benefits for anyone. So just respect each other, and yeah, that's kind of the message of my video.
Has participating in this competition twice now affected any of your college or career goals?
Definitely. I'm really excited to go into filmmaking in college, like pursuing it as a career, because it's something that really like sparked my interest throughout high school, and I'm very happy with, like, I'm so thankful for doing C-SPAN because it kind of allowed me to decide what exactly I want to do, because before then I wasn't sure. I knew I'm in the Visual Academy, so I wasn't sure if I want to do something purely art related or like something completely different. So doing that
sophomore year really helped me develop and like define what exactly I wanted to do.
Finally, do you have any words of advice for those who are watching that may be interested in participating in this competition in the future?
Yeah, so definitely like schedule ahead. Like it takes, as I said before, like 5 to 6 months of work if you want to make like a really good video with like really in-depth like material and content. So definitely like spend a lot of time researching, and if you already have some of the skills that I mentioned, that's great. It'll definitely give you a head start, but just have a really good outline for what you want to do. And yeah, good luck if you do end up wanting to do it.
Thank you so much, Luna. Once again, congratulations. And now back to Kaylin for national news.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved the first ever gene therapy for genetic hearing loss. The treatment developed by Regeneron targets a rare condition caused by mutations of the OTOF gene that can lead to severe deafness from birth. The therapy works by delivering a healthy copy of the gene directly into the inner ear to restore sound signal communication to the brain. In clinical trials, many patients showed significant improvements in hearing ability after treatments. Experts say this approval marks a major breakthrough in the treating inherited forms of deafness. A tornado has struck Oklahoma City on April 19th, causing significant damage across parts of the city. One of the hardest hit areas was the Tinker Air Force Base, where buildings and aircraft facilities were damaged. The storm also tore down power lines and left thousands of residents without electricity. Emergency crews were quickly deployed to assess damage and begin cleanup efforts. Officials are continuing to evaluate the full extent of the destruction as recovery work continues. And now back to Sam for an interview with HOSA Club Presidents Leo and Yashvi.
Last weekend, members of BCA's HOSA chapter competed in various competitions at this year's New Jersey HOSA State Leadership Conference at Union County Vocational Technical School. Here with us to discuss the event and HOSA are the club's two presidents, Leo Toake and Yashvi Rateshwar, who competed in the team event Health Education, winning first place and qualifying for the International Leadership Conference. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Congrats on winning first and qualifying for nationals. Before we start the interview, we do have some photos that you guys sent in, if you don't mind explaining them for a little bit.
So this is a photo of us after we won first place. So this is our entire team for health education, and the medals around our neck is just exemplify that we won first place.
This is a picture of me standing in front of my poster board for running for State Executive Council. So as you can see, there's a little wheel and all of the prizes I was offering behind me.
This image is of another team, the public service announcement team that specifically created a documentary, a short film regarding how our body and brain are related to each other. And this is them next to the HOSA background.
And then this is another example of me. I'm doing a speech for my candidacy, and that is what that is.
Now, can you guys first explain what HOSA is and how you guys got involved in the organization?
Yeah, so HOSA stands for Healthcare Occupation Students of America. And it is more than just a competition. It is an organization in which you can meet a lot of different people, like-minded peers, grow as a person, learn about your passions. Me personally, I first got involved in HOSA my freshman year when I filled out a form that was sent out by BCA HOSA for the State Leadership Conference. I chose healthy living, and I kind of stuck with that my freshman year as well as my sophomore year, and was able to grow through that, as well as gratefully this year, me and Leo became the co-presidents of the BCA HOSA chapter.
Similar to Yashvi, my experience also started in freshman year, where Mr. Dobrich, who's our chapter advisor, kind of sent out this email regarding the State Leadership Conference. And similar to Yashvi, I also kind of put my name out there kind of on a whim. I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to get involved with HOSA or not, but I knew that there was definitely something there that I wanted to explore. So I specifically reached out to one of the teams, one of their health education teams that had like an extra spot. I wasn't sure if I was able to get it, but thankfully they accepted me onto the team. And then I've continued my passion for health education into this year as well, where me and Yashvi are now competing with also Emily Gong and then Katie Chung, who are our fellow juniors in this competition.
Now, as mentioned, you guys did compete together in a competition called Health Education. Can you just explain what that competition entails and how you guys prepared for it?
Yeah, so health education is one of the core concepts of HOSA because it's one of the only events where students can really share their passion for a specific health topic of their choice, and where students can actually really see how that topic is being shown in their communities. So what teams will do is that after they choose that specific health topic, they will then research for extensive period of time about what that topic actually is, and afterwards they will create a presentation, whether that be a slideshow or some other form of presentation to a real life audience that will then take in that information, and the team will monitor how that audience has grown using that knowledge, and then we will evaluate the impact of our health topic lesson on that specific audience.
And what are some other HOSA competitions that students can compete in at both the state and national level?
So one thing I really like about HOSA is that there are a variety of competitions that anybody can compete in. There are a lot of healthcare competitions such as medical terminology and medical spelling. There's also a variety of competitions for maybe say business kids such as prepared speaking and job seeking skills, so more in the leadership, as well as certain competitions like parliamentary procedure as well as biomedical debate. So really anything for anyone, and that's what I really like about HOSA.
And you guys did place first and qualified for nationals, which will be held in Indianapolis this June. What was your immediate reaction to not only qualifying for this, but also just winning first overall?
Yeah, I think like in the moment when we were kind of like sitting on the bleachers and they were like announcing the names, we were immediately like super excited that all of our like hard work has paid off. But even more so than that, I think that getting this recognition is really validation that our specific health topic, which we specifically focused on, is the athlete triad, which is 3 major issues surrounding a lot of teenage athletes that also impacts their physical health as well as mental health. And because we recognize that specific issue within our BCA community, we wanted to focus our health education project on that specific topic. And when we won first place, I think we definitely recognized that that was a crucial topic that needed to be addressed, and that all of our efforts in order to address that specific topic really were meaningful and impactful as well.
And as co-presidents, you guys have taken part in a lot of mentorship and community service related activities, such as the Tanzania Service Project. So can you talk about that specifically, and what are some of the other community service projects you guys have taken part in?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you mentioned the Tanzania Service Project, because that was really one of the key highlights, I think, of both of our HOSA experiences. So just to briefly explain what the Tanzania Service Project is, it's a service project that involves raising funds, as well as developing care packages to then donating to orphanages specifically in Tanzania. So what we did was we specifically worked with Seton Hall University, where they were associated with this nonprofit organization that will actually go and deliver these care packages and the funds. But what we specifically had to do was, how can we get those care packages, how can we get the funds in order to actually package those healthcare items. So last year, we started the Tanzania Service Project. We specifically ran and organized a couple of outreach events, specifically within BCA, to then raise these funds. And then this year, we've continued on that experience where we became secondary task force members to work directly with Seton Hall University and the nonprofit organization to better impact the service project. And actually this year, we were very excited to find out that there's actually 3,000 plus care packages that we've been able to raise for the Tanzania Service Project, which really demonstrates the impact of community service within HOSA. Now, to your point of mentorship, I think one of the key obstacles with mentorship in the past that was associated with BCA HOSA is that many of the most valuable HOSA experiences are kind of maybe not conserved, but they're kind of limited to a lot of the seniors. And sometimes the seniors, they might have moved on from HOSA, so we wanted to see if there's any other way we can really demonstrate mentorship to underclassmen. So what we specifically did was we held a bunch of mentorship events that involve juniors that are specifically, have a lot of experience within HOSA, whether they competed freshman, sophomore, or junior year, whether that be in the competition or in the club as well. And what we did was we specifically organized times for them to come speak to these underclassmen, and then we saw how these underclassmen could then take the advice and knowledge that they passed down into their own HOSA experience.
Yashvi, you ran for the HOSA State Leadership Executive Council. Can you talk about that experience and any advice that you have for students preparing to do the same?
Yeah, so I did run for the State Executive Council for New Jersey HOSA. I think it was a really great experience. As a freshman, I was really shy, and I don't think I would have ever seen myself on stage speaking to hundreds of people about why they should vote for me. I think other than that, it really taught me how to think on my feet. Part of the process involved a fishbowl activity in which we were given a question and a maximum of 1 minute to answer it, and we had no time to prepare. I also had a lot of experience, and it was really fun just connecting with people, talking about what you stand for, what you're here to bring, and all of that kind of thing, as well as just representing BCA HOSA on a more wider scale at the state level. As for advice I would give to students who do want to join, I think that the biggest piece of advice I would give is to reach out to people who have held previous leadership roles similarly to the ones you are applying for or running for. I think this can be really helpful, hearing their advice, their perspective, what they think would be working for them and what could work for you. That could be really helpful. As I did mention before, I was kind of shy my freshman year, and I think one thing you should always think about is just putting yourself out there, not being afraid, and always just taking that first step.
Finally, do you guys have any words of advice for those who are watching that may be interested in joining HOSA or even competing in some future events?
Yeah, so definitely building off of what Yashvi mentioned, definitely putting yourself out there, even if you're someone who is relatively more shy or who isn't entirely sure if you want to pursue something related to healthcare. You know, a lot of the competitive